Welcome, everyone, to the Jury Award Conversation Series. Today, we'll be speaking with the winners of the Enderby Entertainment Award, HUMANITAS Originals Award, and Scholastic Entertainment Fellowship for Kids and Family Content Award. Before we hop into the conversation, I just want to briefly touch on some context. So this is the 27th year of the Austin Film Festival script competition, and this year we received a record number of 13,175 scripts. Out of this bunch, we had 5 finalists within each of these categories. And our goal, as always with the competition each year, is to help discover the next generation of writers and help all writers to engage with us to hone and advance their craft. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce all of our winners here today. So we have first the winner of the Entertainment Award, Jonathan Easley, who wrote The King of Rio Barro. The winner of the Humanitas Originals Award, Kieran A. Gallagher, who wrote The Bridge to Ossabaw Island. And the winners of the Entertainment Fellowship for Kids and Family Content Award, Joshua Losben and Scott Gabriel, who co-wrote Space Kids. Welcome, everyone. Really excited to have you all on this talk today. So without further ado, I'd like to hop into the first question. So I'm curious to know, what kind of recognition may or may not do for your drive as an artist. Does an accomplishment like this, change the way you think about your daily grind as a writer? So Joshua, would you like to start?
Sure. Look, anytime you get any external validation, it's a nice little nudge there, and I think it can be a pretty lonely endeavor to sit in your room and typing something up. So in this particular case, it feels amazing. It feels like I'm on the right track, and that makes me super hopeful for these next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. It can feel like an echo chamber when you're sitting in a room alone, or in our case, the two of us are trapped in a room alone, trying not to kill each other. It's nice to feel like there are people out there that are with us and enjoying it too.
Jonathan, do you have?
Yeah, I'll jump in. A couple things. First of all, as a writer, somewhat vain. So it feels good to get, an award like this and to be recognized and something you can share with your family and friends. But then obviously it also just a few different things. It helps, get your name out there. I've already had people reaching out to me since I was a finalist, reaching out, wanting to read the script. It definitely sort of like supercharges your daily, the work that you want to do. I'm working on another screenplay right now, and I just feel a little bit more confident and eager to get it done right now. And then also, someone said before me, it's validating, as a writer that's sort of just sort of starting off in this industry. You look for, clues that you're on the right path, and something like this is just sort of validates sort of the direction you're going, I think.
Kieran?
I think it gives me a lot of credibility with my wife, which is really nice because she sacrificed quite a bit, especially over the last spring, gave me loads of time to go to coffee shops. And basically, I know you're going to ask about the writing process, but I know part of it is sort of abandoning your family to a degree. So she's very excited that I've won in any capacity, and it's definitely given me some motivation to work on some other stuff that I've been working on, just to be prepared to keep going forward and growing as a writer. And I'm not the best at getting up early. I kind of work in the evenings, and I've started to wake up early to do stuff, so you can definitely see that this lit a little fire under me, and it's been really helpful. So.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, I guess in line with that, kind of like how long were y'all working on this draft? This script specifically, and kind of how did you know, like, when you got to a place where, like, okay, I think this is really like ready, to go out in the world.
Yeah, I can take that first. I think this draft took me about probably a year, sort of like working on and off. I had the seeds of sort of a thought, years ago, and I knew kind of what style of movie I wanted to get. I wanted to write. I'm kind of for my screenplay, sort of wears its wears on the sleeve sort of what I wanted to do. I'm really into like Coen Brothers movies. I wanted to write something darkly comic and violent, but stylish and fun too. So I knew what kind of movie I wanted to write, and I started doing it. And then, I submitted an early draft to some places to read, and it just wasn't there. And then I went through and just sort of like stripped it all away, and just sort of got down to the bones of it. And that's sort of when the feedback I got really improved, and I felt I was confident enough to move forward with something like with Austin Film Festival and see what people thought.
Awesome.
I've had the idea for this for a little while, but it was different. It was more of a screwball comedy, and now it's the Humanitas winner. So, I just had the idea of two teenagers going down to Georgia to get married, because it had the youngest age in the country, which by the way has changed since 2019. But at the in the setting of the screenplay, it's accurate. But and then I started to put some personal stuff in it, and that's been probably the last 9 months to a year before submitting. Some of the stuff in there is very personal, and some stuff that I've gone through. So I think it changed the script quite a bit. I have a few people reading my stuff, some family members, and some of them were quite bummed because it was definitely more comedic, and that was kind of the focus of it. And I have one cousin that is a very dedicated reader, and he's like, "Why are you sending me this thing?" I'm like crying myself to sleep reading this now. This is the wrong path for you, But yeah. So the last year, I'd say I made a lot of changes to it, but the idea's been for a couple of years.
So yeah, it's been a couple of years for us too. I think Schwa was in USC at the time he had the idea, and he just wanted to bounce it off someone. We met in a coffee shop and bounced it around. And 2 hours later, we had 10 beats. And then I think you flew to New York next, and we fleshed it out.
Yeah. I mean, we're going back 5 years, I think, at this point. And Scott, you were in town doing a shoot, and I think I snuck into some classes, and it was like I was working on this character-driven, like small indie film that like I thought was really highbrow, and it just wasn't fun for me. And I wanted to have this big movie that was the kind of thing that I'd like to watch. And I just ran it by Scott thinking it was kind of like a blow-off idea, and he took it and ran with it. And it was, just a really, really great process. But then being in two different cities, it took us a couple of years just to get together and keep working on our drafts, and ultimately coming up with the one that we turned in this year.
In line with that, Jonathan, you touched a bit about like on feedback. Like how's y'all's relationship with that, and what are ways that you kind of go about getting that? I know, like, it's. I think Joshua, you mentioned earlier, it's, and Scott, I think you mentioned this as well. It's kind of like being it's a lonely endeavor, right? And having all of these words and the stories and structures in your head, it can be daunting to really see like the flaws in it. So I'm curious to know kind of if you have a set process for how you receive feedback. Do you have like people that you really trust? Just kind of what's your process with that?
Yeah. Well, and I'm a reporter, so I've got quite a few friends who are experienced writers. So I feel pretty good about bouncing it off some of them. I've got some friends that I'm close with they're not involved in movies or writing in any way, but who I just sort of like have a connection with them over our shared love for certain movies, music, pop culture, that kind of thing, who I trust, who if I send them something that they'll either get it or they won't. And so I'll trust their feedback on that. Obviously, as sort of an emerging writer, there's you can pay for a lot of feedback, and I'm sure that there's people who've had different experiences with that. But one of my early drafts got a top score at the Blacklist, which sort of then told me that I was on the right path and got me some attention and that kind of thing. So there's different things. I mean, I usually just send it to friends and family, and they who get me and can tell me what they like and don't like. But also a lot of it is just my own gut instinct. I got bad feedback on the draft that ended up winning this award as well. Some people really hated it, actually. So it's a very subjective thing, and you just, at the end of the day, you just got to go with what you feel is best.
Great,
I think we
great.
have a pretty articulated process. And it's about sort of just kind of like you're saying, you get too close to it and you need some fresh eyes. But at an early stage, if I just hand it to someone I don't, that I know doesn't know story very well, they may say I like it or I don't like it, but they may not be able to articulate why. And I think we're very lucky to have a core cadre of trusted writers, and we read for them too, that can kind of dig to the note under the note and figure out why they don't like a thing and catch it at a structural moment before we've banked the whole screenplay on it. And so then we kind of work in concentric circles out to the people that we trust in terms of taste, but don't know story, and can kind of give us great yes, no, like this character, didn't like this character feedback. And it's really, I guess, important for us to figure out who we're getting feedback from and at what stage, so that feedback is meaningful.
I mean, I think we're cheating too, right? The fact that we're both looking at the story at the same time, I think is, we have an idea that we're on the right track with one another just by our own reactions there. So that definitely helps. Would you agree with that, Scott, or no?
Yeah, no, it's great to have two eyes. It's almost like I'm a director the rest of my life, and working with an editor. It's like if you do a long form project, you have to get away from that project. You need someone else with fresh eyes to come in and take a look, because it's too close. You're too close to it. It's all muddled. It's not that you can't physically push the buttons. It's that your eyes are burned. So certainly we have an advantage with two people passing it back and forth and getting fresh eyes. We're doing that right now. I'm too close to something, and Schwa's going to look at it, and I'm going to step the hell away because I can't see it anymore.
From my side too, just friends and family. And I have a reporter friend here too that looks at my stuff, and it is, when I start out with something, there's so much in there. There's too many elements, I think. So the most helpful feedback I get from people is like, it's what's too much, and trying to pare down the story to what it really is, and I have a few cherished people that help with that.
I'll say too, I took one of our first drafts to a writers group that I was part of with some classmates, and realized that we have some blind spots, and that's really helpful when you can find folks that can kind of identify some things that you might not otherwise know.
Yeah, can I actually ask Kieran and Jonathan, how do you guys pick those first round readers, those like core trusted advisors? How do they come to your life, kind of in a,
the people that will tolerate it, that's the main thing, like if you hand it to someone and then they get back to you within, a few weeks or a month, I think those are the people. At least for me, like some people will say they want to read it and then you don't hear back. So you figure, well, maybe not. But so it's kind of I'm throwing darts, I just throw a bunch out there, and now I have people that I really trust. And will also tell me where it's going wrong. I think I still feel like it's not perfect. I don't know how you guys feel about your projects, but like even since I submitted it, I found some stuff, tweaked some stuff, taken some pages away. But I felt comfortable to submit it at least. And if I didn't, I think my wife may have killed me, because I've talked about this a long time. So this was like the first real effort I've given over an extended period to write. There's been many years that I've talked about this. Everyone that I know knows I've wanted to do this. So that I've had a lot of support, especially over this past year. So it's really fulfilling to actually go forward with it. And now I have a little crew of people that are sort of dedicated. And this lends to that too, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I can at least say, I've written something that someone's looked at and enjoyed, and I'm not necessarily crazy. So that's always good, right? So,
if you guys ever want notes, I mean, we can definitely step up here.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like the fact that we have this group, that's what I'm looking forward to most for the festival, is meeting people. Like you were talking about, a set of eyes. If we can help each other, I think that's great. Even if you can get just that out of this, I think that's awesome.
It happened here. It was always us.
Great. I guess in line with that, are you all a part of like any writers groups? I can't remember, someone touched on that, but or any like mentors, like, or any people that were like very critical people that really kind of encouraged you, and it could have been a long time ago or very recent, just anything like that that y'all would like to share.
So I was part of a writers group with my classmates in LA for a while, for about 3 years, and then I moved up to the Bay Area, and now I'm part of a writers group through SF Film, which is just a great organization up here. And it's, you get out of it what you put into it, so that's something that's been especially helpful for me, just to be kept accountable. Really, that means that you're thinking critically about other people's story, and then you're putting in your own deadlines for yourself to meet those goals.
Well, I've actually never been a part of a writers group or anything like that. I write for a living every day as a reporter. So, I've been doing this for about 10 years now. So I've gotten a lot of, it's been extremely valuable in teaching me just like how to write quickly, and how to write every single day. That's been by far the biggest benefit of this industry that I'm in, and sort of like using those skills to be to write screenplays now. So that's sort of the way that I've done it. And then as far as the people I give feedback from, it's like just old friends really that I go to, the people that I trust, or I know they have good taste in books or movies or whatever. And so if they like what I'm doing, then I feel pretty confident about it. So.
And I'm not in a writers group, but I have tried that a few times. But right now, just kind of having feedback from friends, family, and other people that I trust. So
yeah, great. Well, yeah, kind of want to, this next question, I kind of want to take a step back and kind of, I guess, go back down memory lane. I guess what kind of sparked your interest in writing screenplays? Were you in a different medium before? Jonathan, I know you mentioned you're a reporter as well. At what point in your journey did you kind of realize, I need to like take this seriously and actually like devote, a lot of time to doing it?
Well, for me, I just loved movies my whole life, and I always knew that I wanted to write creatively. Your options are you write a book or a movie, and I've just loved movies for my whole life. I wanted to see if I could get it done. It's very much like from the beginning for me, it was just like scratching it out and trying to figure out what I was doing. I read a lot of screenplays, and just kind of went on just to see the way that they're formatted, would read the screenplay and watch the scene, live and that kind of thing to see just sort of how it played out. But for me, it was just, I just have loved movies my whole life and thought it would be a thrill to get something hopefully one day on the big screen. And so, a lot of it is, and it sounds like with everyone here, is just working on this stuff sort of at the cost of maybe other things in your life too, weekends or nights or whatever it is, just to try to get it out. And then once you get that first one scratched out, the second one comes a lot easier, kind of thing. So that's sort of how it started for me.
I had a sketch comedy show in college when I was like a sophomore and junior in college that went out over public access, and that was my first real interest in writing, is writing those sketches and the scripts for the shows. It was kind of like a late show format with some sketches, and I did most of the sketch writing. So that was my first interest in it, and I've always loved movies too. Always wanted to make movies. I've made some shorts and things like that, and then the feature was definitely like, writing one to me was like a beast though. Like it's a different animal, just to have all these segments that can kind of work together, and to treat it like one whole piece like that. I've always had the interest to do it, but I don't know about everyone else here, but for a while, for a few years, it's definitely frustrating. Like, starting something, kind of letting it sit there and feeling like, how could I write something that awful? Like I think everybody has probably experienced that, but my interest started with writing those sketches.
My background, actually, I did a TV show like that when I was in college too, Kieran. So you just brought back some good memories. Nice. For that. But I got my start. I was playing music. I was a singer-songwriter for most of my 20s, and I took an improv class and a sketch comedy class just to, banter better and feel more comfortable on stage. And ended up realizing like I love that type of other types of storytelling. And actually, now that I have some experience writing screenplays, I think there is a little bit of a bleed over from from songwriting to screenwriting, but applied to get my MFA on a whim. And at USC, you had to write your first screenplay in 6 weeks. Like they just say, here's 6 weeks, go write a feature. And getting that out of the way became a lot easier after that.
Gosh, I don't know. I guess I've always just been a compulsive story junkie. I mean, probably my favorite thing to do, maybe in the world, is to sit at a coffee shop or a bar and hammer out an outline or the arc of a story. I thought my first love was prose. I was a compulsive reader. I thought I'd be writing books. And after 7 or 8 half-finished novels, I guess I'm not the only prose lover here. It took getting into screenplays to really hammer out the structural impediments that were standing in my way. And so actually now for the first time in isolation, I've gone back and picked up a trunk novel, and I'm going to see if I can apply the things I and we have learned in screenwriting back to the prose world and see if that breaks that block. Because there is this sort of haiku sensibility to a screenplay where it can only be so long, and it really forces a degree of discipline where in prose you're kind of swimming and you can choose to keep swimming. And so we'll see. It'll be an experiment. Kieran, when you said that thing about, I think Kieran said that he kept reading it and was like, oh, this is crap. There's this great quote by Ira Glass. I don't know if you guys have, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like, you might have sophisticated taste, but it takes a long time for your ability to catch up to your taste. And I think those reps are really just about, you might know your stuff is what it could be and see it and think, it's not matching my expectation. And it just takes these repetitions and this frustration and fury to get your ability, hopefully, close to your taste.
I think we're still closing that gap.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's kind of the, that's the goal at the end of all this, to get something that we can stand behind.
I guess, kind of with that, Scott, you touched on how you also write prose and poetry, which really helps
prose. Poetry's not on the docket for me.
Okay. Anyone else kind of touch? Do y'all touch into get your toes wet in other mediums? And does that kind of help your process, if so, at all?
I mean, I still write songs, and when I realize how frustrating that is, that gets me excited to go back to screenwriting. So I think there's some kind of benefit to just having a different type of outlet. But I think I find that I'm a little bit more vulnerable, and it is a little more like poetry with music. So screenwriting occupies this very different sphere, but a completely necessary one for me.
Covering the news has been just invaluable for me in learning how to write. This is actually a career change for me, becoming a reporter. I didn't have any experience writing, but I heard that I had talent there. People saying they liked my emails kind of thing. And so that's how I decided. I was like, well, how could I get paid as a writer? I could be a reporter. Got into that. And it's just been, it's just been so helpful in learning how to write, especially when you're covering the news and you just have to distill it down to the essence of something and get get this clear picture across in as economical way as possible. It's helped me learn how to write and how to write fast and clean, and it's like I said, it's just been invaluable, I think, to my writing experience and journey and figuring out what I'm doing.
Mine is working on some short films as well, and then also I dabble some in music too. I play some instruments and write some songs, but never really seem to finish any of those. So definitely more of a dabbler with music, but and the other one I know is very similar. The short films, just kind of everything compressed in a small thing. So
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I want to hear more about the comedy background at some point too. I really think that sketch comedy writing is amazing. And anyway, so I'm a director in my day life, mostly commercials, but on good days, long form. And I know, of course, that informs it, and not even necessarily in a good way. I'm always writing, picturing the edit in mind, which I think a lot of people do, but sometimes that's also limiting. Also, I've done a turn or two around producing or line producing. So the worst thing you can do is get into your own head about the budget ramifications of your creative choices. So I think sometimes it can hurt as well as help, and I have to put that part away.
Great. Well, we're getting close to the end of this session, but I do have one more question. I'm curious, kind of what are some other things that y'all are doing, to kind of put yourself out there, like just kind of outside of competitions. Are there any other kind of methods or actions y'all are taking to really get your work out there and get it in the hands of people that you kind of want?
The competitions have been it for me, and it's worked out pretty well. My first screenplay was like semifinalist at the Academy's Nickel Fellowship, and then obviously this award is a big deal, and the good review that I got from the Blacklist was a big deal. So I mean that's the route I've gone, and it's I've got a manager through someone read it through the Nickel competition. It hooked me up, and then they've been getting my work in front of people. So I know it's hard to win these things, and it's hard to get noticed through them, no matter how good you do. But I've been very fortunate that people have been able to notice my work through competitions like this.
Anyone else?
I would say this is the main avenue right now. I'm still, I still feel like, I'm at a point where I'm kind of getting it all together. I have some other stuff that's sort of cooking that I feel really good about. And then I'm going to try and put it all over the place, but right now, this was just kind of shooting it out in the dark. I only submitted to a few places, but next year, I hope to build on that, and whatever I have to do to get it going, I'm willing to do it. So
yeah.
Right.
Oh man, it's hard outside of the competition world if you don't have an agent, and we don't have an agent yet. It's incredibly challenging. I think the one we're working on right now, we're writing in such a way that we could hypothetically just shoot it ourselves and go into it as creators and writers and make it, because there's no other good avenue. So this is an incredible thing that we're all here, because this is the way we do it.
I mean, I signed up for IMDb Pro. Does that count?
Big moves.
That was last night.
It's a good start.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with Scott there too. It is a long process of putting yourself out there. I've been lucky to get plugged into some really good communities. Most recently, I was part of this SF film residency. So, if nothing else, it kind of showed me that there are people in the Bay Area who are, are creative folks who are aspiring to do the same kind of work that I am. But I have to piggyback here off of, or have to shout out Austin. This is the third time now that I'm a part of this festival, and I think the world of it. I've made so many wonderful connections and folks in the industry just by going to this conference. And I'm really excited to be part of it, especially in this way this year.
Well, we love to have you all here, and congratulations again so much for y'all's win. Really well deserved, and congratulations, and I wish you all the best of luck with your journey forward.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, congratulations.
Great to meet you all.
Yeah,
Oh,
great
you
meeting you
too.
all.